He got empty pockets and heartache from the USA. The government came and took it all away. If he's a good boy, he gets his allowance. Kim.com has that glowy clairvoyance. Why do you glow so hard? Kimzine.com, what is hiding in your past? Kimzine.com stole from Hollywood, insider trading and embezzlement sting. Now he's on Twitter calling scammers with the only thing. The FBI left him a G-string. But when the glow's called him, he shed a tear. Now he's calling other people scammers out of fear. He got empty pockets and heartache from the USA. The government came and took it all away. Empty.why do you blow so hard? Empty.com, what is hiding in your past? Empty.com stole from Hollywood, insider trading and embezzlement sting. Now he's on Twitter calling scammers with the only thing. The FBI left him a G-string. Get him. Why you go so hard? Why you go so hard? Get him. Why you go so hard? Why you go so hard?
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome, everybody. It is Secret Science Wednesday. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. I'm happy to have you guys here today. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat. First of all, I just want to say I love you, MH370X. You guys are the best. It's easy for me to get hyped up with energy every single time I stream because I see all the people in the chat excited to learn, excited to understand science. And frankly, it's crazy to even think that that's even a thing that's happening. I'm a man, not a beautiful woman, and I'm talking about science. And all of you guys are excited to come along and on this journey with me and learn the science with me. It feels special because I feel like there's not a lot of that going on out there. Sabine Hassenfelder, I like her. I think she's a fine person and physicist. But you notice that her slant is this very cynical slant of trying to debunk everything, you know? And I think that generally gets more attention and eyeballs because drama gets more attention. There's other people out there, too, that are like science debunkers, you know, all these science debunkers. I want to be somebody that's positive about science. Like, I want to learn the science and the stuff out there that people gloss over, that they don't pay enough attention to. And yes, this is a live stream right now, guys. We are live right now. I've got the shirt here. So right before we get started, let's do a little bit of housekeeping stuff as well. First huge thing that happened was that we had a VFX artist who's won awards decided to chime in and take a look at the videos. And I did not ask him to or anything. I didn't even know who he was. I knew he was one of my followers. I recognized him. And that was huge because I didn't know what he was going to say or what he was going to find or anything like that. I'll show you guys the post. I've linked it so that you guys can see, and I'll try to summarize it so we don't have to read the whole thing here, guys. But a lot of people keep asking me, oh, you should talk to a VFX expert since you don't know anything about VFX, blah, blah, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Vasilios here. He's obviously Greek. His name is Greek or whatever. Project creator, award-winning CGI VFX supervisor. He replied to one of the debunkers and said he had like 5 awards or something like that. So pretty much what he gets down here is that there is issues with the story of the cloud pictures that they tried to use to debunk the videos. And the clouds in question here, first of all, he points out that the metadata is easily changed, and he went ahead and he changed the metadata just to show how easy it is to change it, because the debunkers have claimed that raw files can't be manipulated. So, like, once again, like, they've lied so many times. Like, if you're listening to debunkers, guys, you are just straight up, you're just listening to perpetual sociopathic, pathological liars. So he just used a simple application, EXIF tool, changed the EXIF data, made it look like the pictures were from 2045. Actually, made it look like the pictures were from 2015 and that they were modified in 2045. Took 2 seconds for him to do that. Doesn't change anything else about the pictures. He also pointed out that the pictures in question, relative to the other pictures in the set, have completely different cloud cover. So this is something that I pointed out, is that if you don't understand what we're talking about, there are these cloud pictures. This is the thing that Kim.com talked about. That was in the intro. And this photographer was on this airplane in Japan. He took pictures on the plane. But Kim.com is trying to say, because the photographer was on the airplane and took pictures on the plane, these pictures must be the ones that he took. He took, like, I don't know, let's just say hypothetically he took 20 pictures. 5 pictures have clouds that are closely resemble clouds in the MH370 videos. Just 5. They're in the middle of these picture set. Those pictures are inconsistent with the clouds in the other pictures from the same set, from the same photographer on the same airplane. But it gets better. Those 5 pictures do not exist anywhere on the internet before 2016. That's a fact. They don't exist anywhere on the internet. We found the archives. We found old torrents that couldn't have been tampered with. The torrents are the ultimate death blow, because if they were in some random torrents and we found those pictures in there, there'd be no way to refute it. You'd be like, well, those pictures are in some random torrents that some random person pulled, right? But they don't exist in there. They don't exist. But here's the best part. When you go to the Wayback Machine, pictures before and after those 5 pictures do exist in the Wayback Machine, before, like in 2012 or before 2014. So, I mean, that's just right there, you know, basically proves that there's obviously some tampering going on with those 5 pictures. Yeah, I get a lot of crackpot fake CGI experts saying that they know better. And which is crazy. You get this all the time. And the amount of fake VFX experts that people that pretend to be VFX experts that aren't is insane. How many, including every single Redditor. None of these people are VFX experts. They're all just liars. They just Wikipedia stuff. They just Google stuff, and then they pretend like it's their inherent knowledge when it's not. It's crazy how, like, and honestly, I don't like to put people down, but it is just mental illness. It's psychosis to be doing that. It literally is. Okay, so then he says as well, he points out in here that you can tell when you look at the pictures that the landscape in some of the pictures compared to the others is completely different. It's green in some, and then it's brown in the others, which goes to show these can't be from the same time. They can't be taken in the same place at the same time. Because again, when you look at the time frame, it's a 1-hour time frame between the first picture and the last picture, 1 hour and 14 minutes. But somehow the cloud cover is completely different in the 5 pictures. And the landscape around Mount Fuji is completely different as well. So he says that this means the photos were taken at different locations with the metadata lined up to match as if they were taken in the same batch. This is exactly what I've been saying, that how it must have been done. That somebody must have injected these fake photos into the set of photos in 2016, probably around the time Edward C. Lynn was thrown in prison, so that if in the future the pictures ever got popular, they would have like a burner account, push the pictures to debunkers, so that debunkers would run with this fake narrative of these pictures debunking the videos. And that's exactly what happened. Literally exactly what happened. Okay, now let's go to the next part here real quick. He also points out something really, really, really important that I just didn't connect. And hi, hey, Ocean. I didn't say hi to you yesterday. Hi, everybody else who's in the chat as well. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, we brought retarded back, guys. Retarded is back, but we are trying to use the word primitive instead of retard. So, and never call somebody who's like Down syndrome retarded. That's not cool, guys. You just call it for people that are, like retarded, like, they have psychosis, basically. They just can't accept facts. So this is great, though. Military-grade reconnaissance drones or professional surveying drones often feature advanced sensors and cameras capable of both high-resolution video and still photography. They typically use electro-optical cameras for high-quality day photography and video. Infrared or thermal cameras for nighttime or low visibility conditions. Why is the drone video in thermal? Because it's nighttime. The drone video's in thermal because it's nighttime, chat. It's so obvious. I don't know why I didn't just put that. I didn't connect that before. Okay. So then, just to show you some of the screenshots, here's him tampering with the EXIF data to show how simple it is. Raw file doesn't mean that things are unimpeachable. Like so when debunkers try to say it's a raw file, like they're so stupid, like they're literally retarded, where they're claiming, oh, it's raw file, that means you can't tamper with it. Yes, you obviously can. It was simple. It's trivial. And then their other argument is that, like, well, because it's a raw file, it's too high quality. But satellite imagery is significantly more high quality than a Canon camera. So it's not an issue of the files too high quality. Not at all. And then here's the real killer. I'm going to show the other one first real quick. He compares, I don't know, was it Tony Adams, one of the debunkers who tried to make their recreation. He shows the real original footage of the Zap, and he compares it to the debunker one that they recreated it. And you can actually tell that the debunkers are just using a visual effect. For any forensic analysis can tell the difference between a visual effect and real lighting immediately. And he shows that in the real footage, you have volumetric environmental lighting. As opposed to the dummy footage, when they use VFX, you can tell that it's just a glow effect. Here's it much better. If you look at the circled area here, you can see the volumetric lighting because these are real clouds being illuminated in 3 dimensions. And in the debunker one video, you can see that it's just a glow effect that uniformly increases the brightness. That's the death blow right there. That picture right there is the absolute end of the cloud pictures. That's the end of the supposed recreation attempt that's still pinned on the debunker subreddit. The fact that they haven't unpinned that fake recreation attempt on the debunker subreddit and the cloud pictures already, now that they've been 100% conclusively proven to not be in the videos, or really the footage that created the videos was then put on the internet. And the fact that they have this completely false title on the subreddit that says like drone or MH370 videos 100%, 1111 debunked 11 exclamation point 11. The fact that they haven't removed that shows that the Redditors are mentally unwell, that the moderators are 100% involved with the debunkers, and that they have malintent overall, and that their goal is to try to hide the videos. Anyone who is objective that saw this evidence should immediately be unpinning everything related to the Jonas pictures, everything related to the recreation attempts. None of that refutes any of the videos whatsoever. It's been 100% conclusively refuted to be fraudulent. He also points out in this analysis that the clouds are actually moving, which is something that I've shown you guys many times. The clouds evolving and moving also rules out 2D cloud pictures. Again, not possible. Can't have 2D cloud pictures if you got clouds evolving like this. And volumetric lighting, 3-dimensional volumetric light. And I want to repeat, before the Redditors start to change their stories, because that's what's going to happen next, because this is what they do. They lie, they get caught in the lie, and then they move on to a new lie. They've been saying for a whole year that they could recreate these videos in 2D software, Adobe After Effects, which is maybe technically 2.5D or whatever you want to call it. They cannot. This rules out, this proves that they've been lying for an entire year, proves that you must require a full 3D rendered environment to pull this off. Proves it. Proves it. So there you go. All the debunks are officially dead. MH370 videos are objectively real. And for the final death blow, just to add insult to injury, I went ahead and I posted the ultimate evidence. The undeniable, why isn't it showing up? Oh, the undeniable evidence, chat. Undeniable. You can literally just see the orb displacing the smoke. This shows that the orbs are a real physical object. This shows that the smoke coming out of the back of the plane is physical. It's not an effect that was added in. If these were orbs that were added in and smoke that was added in, if this was CGI, there would be no orbs displacing the smoke. That's accurate fluid dynamics. People's, how do you know it's accurate fluid dynamics? Go ahead, find some smoke and run through it. Just go do it yourself. You know? A lot of people just won't believe what they see on their eyes. Okay, great. Now, I do want to show, because we're talking about science, I want to explain something to you guys very important here, and then we're going to start talking about a little bit of electrical engineering. This video right here, just this clip, is the most important clip in the history of the world right here. Why? Why, guys? Who in the chat knows why this is the most important clip? Scientifically, I'm not talking about MH370 conspiracy, just scientifically, why is this clip so important? The answer is negative energy. Endothermic event. Big blue. Looks like a oh, guys, I wish I had weed. Yes, it's the first endothermic event ever. Ever. It's sci-fi, fiction, reality. The first endothermic event, period. When you see wormholes in science fiction, it's always like, looks like a sandworm in Dune or something like that opening up. This is a dark, cold event. This is an absorption of energy. This was not thought to be possible. This is not thought to be possible right now under mainstream physics. Mainstream physics considers negative entropy, negative energy, we're using those terms interchangeably, absorptions of energy like this to not be possible. Negative energy is considered an exotic substance. What this video shows is that negative energy is not an exotic substance. It's a state below equilibrium. It's like going below sea level. You're pulling the energy out of that location. What we see before the zap is equilibrium, and then the energy is getting sucked out. This is how I went down the path of finding out about 0-point energy, because we realize we're not at the bottom. We're on the surface of the ocean. We're at sea level right now, all the time, all around us. And we can actually go below sea level, and we can pull energy out of the sea level. But here's the kicker. We still need to abide by the first law of thermodynamics, conservation of energy, which means this energy must go somewhere. This energy must go somewhere. Unless you have an exact equivalent amount of antimatter, which, as far as I know, we haven't been able to harness, this energy must go somewhere, which means this must be teleportation. This must be going from one location to another location. So this is the most important clip ever right here. Now, if you want to see if a physicist is legit, if you want to know if any physicist out there is legit, you just show them this right here. I sent this to Professor David Greer at NYU, who's got his tractor beam that he's got that he doesn't even know how it works. And I said, just look at this. Just look at this. Assume that this is real and look at this. Any physicist that's worth anything that looks at this is going to go, holy shit, is that negative energy? That's going to be their first view because they're going to know that black means cold in a thermal video like this because we have something to compare it to. We can see the plane. So we know it's not inverted. There's not something else going on. We know this is, we can see the color gradient. So we know that black is as cold as the settings go on this. So yeah, this is a great point by Chief Dinger here. Even if this video is fictional, this clip would still be worthy of study because it's just that incredible. Because you're basically saying in this clip that what we understand right now from a physics perspective is flawed. But the beauty of it is it doesn't require us to throw out all of physics. It actually quite the opposite. It just adds on to it. What it says is that the people like Lawrence Krauss, the physicist, who thought that there's nothing to get, nothing to pull out of the 0 point energy, he's 100% wrong. This proves him wrong. No ands, if, or buts about it. He's wrong. And it's kind of funny because he was cocky and condescending and called other physicists pseudoscientists that believed that we could pull energy out of the ZPE. Well, buddy, you're about to get egg on your face like you've never believed. And this is what goes to the point where science progresses one funeral at a time. We have to wait for the Lawrence Krausses of the world to die off and the new crop of people to come in that realize that this is legit, that we can achieve negative energy densities and negative energy states. And the beauty of it is the real history of negative energy is that it's proven in the math. The math shows there's negative energy. They do the math and they get a minus sign. And they go, why is there a minus sign there? That's weird. And they go, well, that should mean there should be negative energy states possible. And you know what they do? They just disregard it. Literally just disregard it. Doesn't make sense. We can't explain what's this exotic negative energy. So they just disregard. That's literally how real mainstream physicists work and think. And if you ask any of them, that's what they'll say. You ever wonder why no physicists ever try to challenge me? This is why. Because they know they're full of shit. They know that what I'm saying is 100% true. Okay. So then this is why today's topic is negative resistance. So we're going to learn a bit about electrical engineering today. Truthfully, I haven't even watched this whole video myself. We're going to watch it together. We're going to see if we glean any information out of it. Hopefully it's good. This is the video that we're going to watch today is going to be called Energy from the Vacuum, Negative Resistance, the Chung Experiment. I'm hoping that this is good. Never really know. We'll see. Okay. For the record, guys, just here's the thing. Where's the plane? What happened to the passengers? The number one question I get, it's already been asked 1,000 times. Look through my highlights. Watch the Candace Owens interview. Watch literally any of my interviews. It's the question that every single person asks. I can't answer the question every single day 100 times. Okay. Let's see. What else we got? Why don't I call out some of the talking head YouTube science accounts? Could. Maybe. Maybe we will, man. I don't know. If I see them promoting stuff, then I will call them out. Like, we found a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson and was it Brian Greene? I can't remember. And they're talking about the Casimir effect. And they're going, no one understands the Casimir effect. And I'm going, triggered. Right? Because, like, yes, we do. And so I'm thinking Friday's show. I haven't 100% decided, but because I'm definitely walking directly into a trap, but I'm thinking I'm going to go on Alien Scientist. We'll talk about free energy. We'll talk about physics. David Chester sent me an email. I haven't read it all with his answers to the questions about that I asked him. I'm sure he'll be on there. I'm sure these guys will try to trap me and high road me with some bullshit. Totally fine. You know what? I'm not even afraid. So we might just do it just for the fun of it, guys. And I'm already ready because David Chester is going to claim that the Casimir effect is like only at like extremely small scales or something like that, which I'll just give him the answer right now in case he's watching or wants to watch this clip, which is that, so what? The reason why it's at small scales is because gravity itself is an induced effect from the 0 point energy, which is built into space-time at the smallest possible scales. And even at a nanometer, the Planck scale is like 10 to the minus 51, something like that. So, and the Casimir effect increases exponentially the smaller you get. And you may say, okay, well, the electron and the electron and atom is as small as we can reasonably get with measuring it. But even at that scale, the power, the force of the Casimir effect is going to be astronomical. And then you add it up throughout all of space-time. And that's how you achieve what the true energy level potential of the ether, of the sea of energy really is. Okay. It looks like we got another mentally ill guy in the chat, Alex Napoli. Sorry, Alex, it's over, buddy. The videos are real. How long? So this is what I'll say to people, like, however long it takes for you to accept the videos are real, not really, that's a you problem, not really a me problem. But we've 100% proven all the debunks are fake. 100% proven, again, factually proven, not opinions, not stories, actual hard evidence, hard facts, that the cloud pictures could not have been used to create the videos. The videos predate the cloud pictures being on the internet. Just hard facts. This VFX asset that people claim matches objectively does not match. Again, that's just a hard fact. You know, it's something you got to deal with. If you were lied to by the corridor crew or whatever, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. That's not a match, man. We just watched the endothermic event like 50 times. It's not a match. No matter how much you change the shading, no matter how much you try to morph the blob, it's never going to match. Never going to match. Never going to match. The irony is that people claim that somebody changed it around, but then you say, well, how did they change it? And they say, well, I can't tell you how they changed it. Okay, well, then you don't really have any argument, do you? So you know, I can't control other people, and there's no point in even trying. Okay, we're almost good. We're almost ready to get going here. Oh yeah, I do recommend Veritasium. Veritasium I do like a lot, guys, just for the record. I do like them. Oh, the 9/11 conspiracy theorist people are super mad at me now too. I saw them clip my thing. Like, man, come on, man. Just like you guys do your own thing with 9/11. I just don't care, man. Like, I'm open-minded enough now where, you know, believe whatever conspiracy theory you want. Doesn't impact me. Doesn't impact me. I've got my conspiracy theory. I just want the truth for what happened to the people on that plane. That's it. I'll let it go after that. I'll do dog memes after that and stupid shit. Just give me that one thing. Stop trying to force me into 9/11 stuff. Stop trying to force me into other stuff. Just let me handle that. Okay. We will probably, a lot of people are asking me about the weather manipulation stuff. So I probably will give my piece on that, even though I literally said so in my live stream yesterday. So we'll see. Yeah. How do I make Ashton a me problem? Yeah, honestly, we're at the point now where people like are just trying to clout chase off me and what have you, which I'm like, I don't know. What do I care? I'm not really like, I don't think I'm a famous person or anything like that. And for the record, guys, not all the debunkers are feds. There's probably a little bit that in there that are like pushing the various narratives that people cling on to. But a lot of them, it's just as simple as like, this breaks their reality. This breaks their reality. Many people believe that conspiracies are like, you're a Trump supporting conspiracy theorist. They like literally use it as a pejorative. And for this conspiracy to be real, it means they are frauds and their whole lives have been fraudulent. Their whole lives have been a lie. You have to realize how powerful that is for people to accept. Some people are never going to accept that for the rest of their lives. The same way some people will never take a mask off because the authority told them that a mask will prevent a microscopic cold virus from getting them sick. Right? It's the same kind of brainwash. It's literally brainwashing. Literally brainwashing. And people have been brainwashed. And when people are brainwashed and you try to wake them up out of the brainwash, they act aggressively and violently because they're fighting against how they've been literally programmed by the authority. They've been programmed. They've been programmed to believe lies. And if you try to tell them the truth, they break. They break. Sorry, what did you want me to play again? Did she want me to play the this? Oh crap, hold on. Oh, come on, what the hell? Why is it doing this? So, yeah, I added some dope music to this too. If you watch it on YouTube or TikTok, I added some or TikTok added music to it, so it's even cooler actually on TikTok. Can this play? We'll play this one more time too. Hell yeah, Singapore, baby. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, somebody as well went ahead and said that the Changi Airport in Singapore, which I'm sure you're familiar with, that they knew that the official story that's out there is all bullshit, and that they knew that the plane ended up at Diego Garcia. Like the fact that there was all this stuff about the plane going to Diego Garcia was not just nonsense. There was like a hint of truth to that stuff going on. Yeah, it's crazy. People like think this is fake. You know, they really do. And it's not because necessarily they're operatives. It's just a matter of they've just been brainwashed. They've just been brainwashed, man. Simple as that. Okay, next clip. Now, I do want to show this clip. So General Flynn weighed in. Martha Bueno, shout out to her. She asked, where is it? She asked General Flynn about MH370.
There's somebody that on the internet that has been talking about the technology the United States government has had in relation to the MH370, the airplane that went missing, that to this day we still don't know. Ashton Forbes on X. And he says that the United States government has incredible amount of technology that we would be...
You'd be blown away.
We'd be blown away.
Absolutely.
So yeah. There's somebody that on the internet that has been talking about the technology the United States government has had in relation to the MH370, the airplane that went missing, that to this day we still don't know. Ashton Forbes on X. And he says that the United States government has incredible amount of technology that we would be...
You'd be blown away.
We'd be blown away.
Absolutely.
So yeah. There's somebody that on the internet that has been...
Okay, there we go. So yes, General Flynn's been following me for months and months and months. I've been begging to, just desperate to hear, this flies back, to hear what his opinion is on MH370 videos. And Martha finally asked, because Martha has followed me for a long time as well. Super cool. Check her out, guys. And actually, I think they asked me to go on this podcast that I think it's Luke Rudakowski, butchering his last name, which I probably will at some point in the future. So what is that? And here's the thing where like General Flynn was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency from like 2012 to 2013. So this is right around the time where the DIRDs were in action. The DIRDs are the Defense Intelligence Research Documents. They were commissioned by the Defense Intelligence Agency. So General Flynn knows Hal Puthoff. I'm sure he's met him. He must know Eric Davis. They're the ones who commissioned those scientific papers. So General Flynn may not know all about MH370. It's hard to tell based on what we learned about the CIA and the bigot list or whatever, but he probably does. He probably has some idea that we're responsible, and he definitely knows about the technology. So, and he's a smart guy. So this is why, like, he's careful about what he says, but he's like, yes, we have technology that will blow people away. Blow people away. He's talking about breaking people's minds. We do have that technology. Somebody asked, and I saw a couple donations I want to get through real quick. Every time I see and watch you, I learn something new. By the way, I'm sure we all do. Peace, Ashton. By the way, your name is in the title for Alien Scientist. I guess I'm going on Alien Scientist then. They kind of forced me into it for Friday, guys. So Friday, Alien Scientist, check it out. Death Proof Bomb. Thank you, brother. Complizier, haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, man. Ash Today, the angry astronaut on YouTube. Dist Mick West. The angry astronaut. There's a couple angry astronauts. Oh, wait, must be this one. We'll probably take a look at that after this, maybe. Is it from the Starship launch or the Advanced Alien Civilizations one? I don't know. Whatever. I don't care about Mick West, man. Mick West is obsolete, chat. Somebody asked about Modenese and his papers about violation of conservation of charge. Seems like a real physics and math explanation of what Bearden was talking about. I think that once you understand that there's this sea of energy that's out there, you're not really worried about conservation of energy anymore, because now you realize, and this is, I think, what you're going to see from David Chester. Like, I couldn't believe his response. I asked him, where does he think energy is coming from? He said it's coming from nowhere. I hope he updates his response before Friday, chat. If you're going to come to me and you're going to say the energy is coming from nowhere, you guys know what my response is going to be. Okay, so free energy is possible then? Oh, well, no. The energy is coming from nowhere, but free energy is not possible. So energy can't come from nowhere. Okay, so where did all the energy and the mass in the universe come from? It's like, when you really think about it, it seems kind of obvious there must be a source of energy, right? And mass is just condensed energy. And this doesn't require a PhD. This just requires basic logical thinking. And if you think that the Big Bang happened, especially, and all energy came from a specific point in space and time, how exactly did that work? That must have been one really condensed ball of energy. Where did that come from exactly? I don't know. Okay. I hate to make it political, but it actually, for some reason, is. For some reason, the whole UFO phenomenon and conspiracy and science stuff has become extremely political. Even the science has become political, where people think that the government would tell us everything, and that if the science was real, that, like, we would already have figured it out. Like, what? Think about that logic. You're saying that anything that's possible that we would already have figured out? Is that how civilization works? Is that how humankind works? No, not at all. And there's a huge amount of people in the UFO community that think that if they think that the United States government's hiding this major conspiracy of aliens, but that they're not, they would never lie to us. Like, they're literally two completely incompatible beliefs. Or that my conspiracy theory is totally legit, but yours is completely impossible. This is where I tell people, somebody told me that, I asked about, how does Hal Puthoff, what does, like, Hal Puthoff think about all this stuff that goes on? Or it was more like Tom Bearden, like, when he's talking about some of this stuff, is that once you realize that we have magical technology, you never say that something's impossible. Never say that, because, I mean, shit, we've got magical technology. So for me, what I say is, I'll believe anything that you show me evidence for. Show me the evidence and I'll believe it. Okay. One last thing I'll say here as well. People say don't let them distract you. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Like, don't let them distract me from what? From what? Everybody's got their ideas about what I should be pushing forward or not pushing forward. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Realize that this is more than anything an information war. More than anything, it's an information war. It's a war about getting the information to the people. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're spreading information, because the biggest way to break down brainwashing is to educate people. Show them the facts. Just like show them the facts. Usually what happens is you get a Westworld type response from people that are literal robots and NPCs that just say, it doesn't look like anything to me. They just completely ignore the facts. You ask debunkers to address the fact that the cloud pictures don't exist before 2016 online as a fact. They just beep, malfunction. You get them to address the fact that the VFX doesn't match at all. Malfunction. Their response usually then goes to some type of appeal to authority. You don't know how VFX works. I mean, again, I'm just dealing in facts. Just facts. They don't match. Your counter argument should be just a factual statement, but there aren't any facts to counter it. Then it just becomes all about stories and opinions. And if you want to be a critical thinker, you should focus on facts, and you should be very scrutinizing of opinions and stories. because that's how you get to the truth. Otherwise, that's how you're easily lied to. Okay, should we show, maybe we'll show one more clip, chat. You guys can see this, I think, right? So also, this is the thing that people were talking about, the constellation, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think that Michael Schellenberger is probably legit, but I also want to point out that all these people are trying to make people focus on aliens. I've got my keys ready. Nice shiny distraction. Aliens. We can't understand this. Don't try to understand the physics. You can't understand that. You can't understand why this thing's floating in the sky. Don't think about that. Don't think about why this UFO is just hovering in the sky and how much energy that would take. Don't think about that. Just think about aliens. It's not understandable. It's beyond human comprehension. Blah, right? That's what they want you to think about. When in reality, what they should be saying is, let's understand 0-point energy. Is it possible our underlying physics principles are misguided? That we miss something really huge? That there's a sea of energy that we can tap into that the extraterrestrials or whatever you want to think of it have figured out how to tap into? And now we figured it out as well because we either watched them or we just figured it out ourselves and aliens are one big psyop. That's what I think even smart people struggle with. Smart people struggle with the idea that we could have figured this technology out. They just think that everything that is possible, we would have already known. And if you had figured out free energy or you'd figured out how to make an anti-gravity, you'd be a trillionaire and blah, blah, blah. No, the reality is you get killed. The reality is you get killed. You get killed, silenced, bought out, whatever it is, brought in and told to shut the hell up. That's what happens in the real world. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read these comments while I display.
Absolutely incredible incident involving an F-22 Raptor, which is the top frontline fighter jet in the United States military arsenal. And it describes orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of a patrol area. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs.
I mean, the first most obvious thing you're struck by with that particular case is that this technology or form of life or whatever it is, adversary, is demonstrating dominance. But dominance is about power and about a demonstration of capabilities.
One UAP maneuvered very close to the jet, to the starboard of the cockpit, and it established a rigid spatial relationship with the F-22, so that when the jet was rolling and diving and trying to get away from this object, it stayed fixed. That's what I find fascinating. Whatever the technology is behind these objects, what they were able to do was track exactly what the F-22 was doing. It couldn't shake it.
Amazing. I mean, I think, anybody that knows some of the history of this, it sounds a lot like Foo Fighters, from World War II, these similar orbs. I mean, orbs are very a common UAP. How would they describe this? One of the ideas is that this is sort of a natural phenomenon. This is maybe a new plasma or a kind of ball lightning.
Another incident that you talk about where an orange orb was watched by the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier. A sphere descended from high altitude to about 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of this aircraft carrier. It emitted a soft orange-red light, which didn't illuminate the ocean or the flight deck, despite the appearance of intense luminosity. The surface of the UAP was observed to be dynamic, roiling like the surface of the sun.
Wow. This is the part where, guys, what I keep telling people, and by the way, if you love my OnlyFans, subscribe, $9.99 a month, make that shit happen. Post pictures. Maybe I'll do a Lulu OnlyFans. I bet Lulu OnlyFans will get lots of money. Okay, real quick before I jump into that, Flynn, that was all Flynn said. They changed the subject right after that. Martha apologized that they immediately changed the subject after that, but somebody else will ask General Flynn. But to hear General Flynn say that we've got technology to blow up people's minds in context of MH370, especially when he follows me, pretty interesting, chat. Pretty interesting. So this is pretty wild. I don't think he means it was teleported out, but they talk about 3 to 6 orbs. It's always in groups of 3. They didn't mention triangle formation, but they did mention resonance. So I did edit in the MH370 videos into that, and you can tell, like, this is the part where these videos are going to be proven to be true. And we've got the intelligence community boxed in right now, where what they have to do at this point is they are like literally working the narrative around me and around MH370X, because everything they put out now, because the videos are 100% real, and that's what we really did to the plane, they have to find a way to disclose the technology without disclosing that we used it on MH370. And it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. Like, what happens? It's 2025, and we see another video of 3 orbs in a triangle formation. The first ever video the public's seen, 2025, right? The first official video. How are people going to still say that the MH370 videos are fake? Are they going to say that somebody went back in time with the information from 2025 and made the videos in 2014? They probably will. Sadly enough, people's brains are so broken that they probably will. I actually saw people first today trying to set the narrative framework that even if the orbs and the triangle stuff all ends up being real, then it still doesn't mean the videos are real. Jesus Christ, man. Are you guys fucking retarded out there? Those videos are warp drive and a wormhole. Those are EVOs. Yes, if EVOs are real and warp drives are real, or warp drives or wormholes are real, yes, the videos are automatically real. Automatically. No denying it. 100% automatically real. The amount of just absolute mental gymnastics that people have to go through just because they don't want to give me credit is crazy. Yeah, the mental gymnastics, man, just unbelievable. And of course, I told you guys this. You can find my clips on my live streams over like a year ago where I said, when the science is proven true, I don't want to hear any denials about the videos being real. I don't want to hear any denials about the videos being real. Nothing. No, we're not going to be accepting bullshit arguments about, yes, orbs and plasma orbs and EVOs are real, and yes, they can teleport things, but they didn't. Those videos are still fake. Some mythical hoaxer that doesn't exist, like, just somehow divined that information from 15 years in the past. What the fuck, man? It's just crazy. This is probably what they're going to say, is that, yes, it proves that time travel is real. So somebody took the information back in time and then faked the videos in the past. Like, they'll probably say that. Like, that'll probably be a real narrative that they invent. So anyway, with respect to that, there were some huge parts in that. Talks about that they might be a life form. They're starting to set the seeds that plasma is conscious. They're starting to set that seed into people's minds. That they could be plasma orbs, and the plasma orbs could be conscious. Salvatore Paez hinted at this a year ago in my interview with him, almost a full year ago today. And then he mentioned this idea of dominance. When he mentions dominance, that's huge. Why? 6th generational warfare. 6th generational warfare. That this type of technology represents aerospace, space dominance. And that's what we did to MH370. It was dominance. Now, I edited this part out. I was thinking about including it, but Michael Schellenberger is probably a shill for the government. He literally admits in this interview that he would not damage national security. He says that. He says, I would protect national security. I'm not like Julian Assange. He literally says, I'm not like Julian Assange. I'm going to protect national security. These fucking guys, man. Especially because I thought Schellenberger was cool. And I gave him the information, and he never followed up on it, even though it was actionable, verifiable information, and he never followed up on it. Now you can see what's really going on, guys. These people are all running damage control for the United States government. We've figured this technology out. They are misinforming the public to make the public think that we haven't figured the technology out. And because we are weaponizing it, because if we were to tell people, then our adversaries would find out and it would put us at a military disadvantage. That's why they're doing it. I understand their thought process. I understand their logic. It's still fucking bullshit. And the reason why it's bullshit is because this technology represents a complete paradigm shift. Complete paradigm shift from old forms of energy. It completely ends the climate change narrative nonsense that goes around. It destroys several Democrat talking points, like just completely buries them, including the climate change thing. Like climate change is just a complete scam. It's not something we should ever have to worry about. We have the answer, even if you believe in it. Even if you believe man-made climate change, we can end it tomorrow. We have the technology. It's locked up, and we're just not telling people because it's a weapon. Think about that. Mentions that the orbs lock into a resonance. So literally, there's another story. We've already got Lou Elizondo's 23-minute video of a Predator drone seeing orbs in a triangle formation. Now we've got Michael Schellenberger saying there's another witness out there saying that there's an F-22 video of orbs locking in some kind of resonance with the F-22, just like with the MH370 videos. How can people just have these mental gymnastics in their head? Every one of these UFO community heroes and disclosure people is telling you that the MH370 videos are real. I'm not going to let people get away with this. I'm not going to let them get away with this double think. Yeah, sure, orbs and triangle formations and locked in perfect resonance and tracking objects in 3 dimensions is real, but the MH370 videos are CGI. You guys are fucking retarded. Unbelievable. He also mentions the Foo Fighters, which is a clear connection to ball lightning and plasmas. So there you go. And here's the last thing, guys. Yeah, my Russian and Asian brides have not yet, my Chinese and Russian brides have not yet reached out to me, chat. Nor has there been a ScarJo clone. Guys, I am not the good guy. I would have sold out. I'd have sold out. I like my country. Why couldn't they just pass me one ScarJo clone? Let's not pretend like they can't clone people, man. Let's not pretend like they can't clone people. We banned cloning like 20-something years ago. We can clone. Some guy cloned like a sheep and hybridized it. Like, we can clone some people if we wanted to. A clone or $10 million. $10 million seems extremely cheap, given how much criminal and civil liability we're talking about here. It really does, right? I could do a lot of good with that. Oh, man, maybe Alex Jones could give me a cloned wife. Yeah, but he would probably get me like a hybridized, like half human, half reptilian like wife. You know, I don't know if I'm all about that. I just want a pure clone. Pure clone. It doesn't have to be Scarlett Johansson. I just, I'm throwing a name out there. Okay. Let's get on to the good stuff. So first video, we're going to do, I don't know if we need to watch this whole thing. I'm going to put it in like super speed mode. So this first video we're going to watch just explains the basics. So people who are out there, I saw somebody say that they came from Candace Owens and they're intrigued. Okay, well, I'm going to show you guys. I do hard science. I don't do bullshit. I don't really do stuff in the woo either. So this is a guy that, I don't know, he's got a NASA shirt on. I think he works at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I think that's where this is at. Oh, Ollie the Dazzling. Okay, Ollie the Dazzling. Now, what I'm going to give you the rundown of this before we go into it is that there's two of the most basic equations in physics and electrical engineering. One of the most basic equations in physics is F equals ma. Force equals mass times acceleration, which is the idea. If you have this big rock in front of you and you push it, the more force you push it with, the more it's going to accelerate. The heavier it is, the harder it's going to be to push, the slower it's going to accelerate. Same application for an electrical circuit. V equals IR. Voltage equals current times resistance. So the voltage is the force, the current is the acceleration, and the resistance is the mass. So the more resistance there is, you're going to need more and more voltage to push the current, to get more and more current. Now, what he's going to say here is we shouldn't think about it like F equals ma and V equals IR. We should think about it from the perspective of acceleration and the perspective of current. With respect to acceleration, we should think of it in terms of F divided by M. The less mass, then the more acceleration you're going to get from your force. The less resistance, the more current you're going to get from your voltage. And then when you take mass and you reduce mass to zero, now you get infinite acceleration. If you take resistance and you reduce your resistance to zero, you get infinite current. Interesting. Very interesting concepts, right? And then what is energy? The more current that we have flowing, the more energy we're going to get. Quite interesting concepts, right? Because now you look at it and you go, wait, so can we achieve, if we had zero mass, we could achieve infinite speed. We could achieve infinite acceleration. If we have zero resistance, could we achieve infinite current? Now, again, it goes back to my magic card scenario for my magic card players. When you play magic cards, it's a card game. What you're trying to do is you're trying to break your deck. You're trying to break your deck so that you do something so far beyond what everybody else is doing. That's the same idea as what we're doing here. Whenever we divide by zero, we're creating a singularity. And what about inertia? Inertia is also linked to 0-point energy. So generally, when we're talking about this, we're talking about in free space. We're talking about free space, no gravity, no resistance. We're simplifying it. But it's going to get a little bit complicated where it's like with the 0-point energy, if you remove the 0-point energy, you have no inertia. So this is the trick of 0-point energy, is that the mass comes from the 0-point energy field. So does the inertia, which means that if you reduce the 0-point energy, you reduce the inertia, you reduce the mass, now your mass becomes zero, then what happens? Acceleration becomes infinite. Now, what if we have the same application for our electrical current? What would that look like? Could we have negative energy with respect to our electrical circuit? Could that create a negative resistor? If you can have negative mass, can you have a negative resistor? And what would that look like? So let's listen to this guy. Let's listen to NASA boy here talk a little bit.
This is something that I'm going to go ahead and explain to you right now. So before I go in and explain V equals IR in terms of an equation, I actually would not write it as V equals IR. In my opinion, this is the wrong way to look at it. And that's because if you've studied math, or if you've taken any basic calculus or any type of class, you know that generally speaking, when you're writing things as a function, like let's say f of x equals some stuff multiplied by x, for example, or like something pertaining to x, you know that this is the cause and this is the effect, right? So some weird behavior in x causes this function.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Let's get to his rolly ball thing. Starts to get good somewhere around here.
And the material is not too, it doesn't have too much friction, it's going to start rolling. Now, you may think of this as F equals ma, right? Well, but that's not really what's happening. What's happening is actually the acceleration. The ball starts accelerating as a result of F over m. Some force is being applied, and let's say in this case, like the mass of the object or like any other type of resistance, it's not strong enough, and as a result, acceleration starts happening, right? If this mass is like really, really big, and if this guy is like unable to push it, and in this case, we're looking at F equals ma here, then if this ball is really, really heavy, this guy's unable to do it. And likewise, if over here, this thing was, instead of being very slanted, let's say it was still flat and has a lot of friction, it's not going to happen. Now, this is the exact same scenario that happens with V equals IR, right? So again, what is V equals IR? Or again, the way I'm going to rewrite it is I equals V over R. It is the exact same concept in that you have some type of electric potential. So instead of a gravitational potential, or you have an electric potential. And as a result of this electric potential, and depending on how much resistance exists over here, the current is either going to start flowing or not. Obviously, here I'm using a bit of an analogy.
Now, isn't this interesting how the equations for F equal ma have the same form as the equations for V equals IR? And then when we look at gravity, gravity has the same form as Coulomb's force as well. The force of gravity has the same form for Coulomb's force. That should set alarm bells off, that people start to wonder, maybe there's a connection between electrical current and gravity, electrostatics and gravity. And the answer is there is. And how are they connected? They're connected by the 0-point energy. Directly connected by that.
But the idea is that this is how you should read it, because the current is what happens as a byproduct of some voltage being applied, and that voltage gets slowed down by the resistance. Just like how in motion, the reason things move or stand still is because of, again, I'm going to rewrite it here, which is A is F over M. Some force is being applied, and there is some mass that's like stopping it, or like the bigger the mass, the more force you need. And as a result, motion happens. So just like how current is the flow of charges in the electrical circuit, in this case, the acceleration is the motion, is something starting to move. And this is really the way to understand it. Now, if you understand why this makes sense, you understand cause and effect, and you understand a very, very important concept in physics, which is in our observable world, at least on macro scale or in classical mechanics, classical electromagnetics, things happen because something caused it to happen, right? If I were to take this, I don't know, chalkboard eraser right now and throw it across the room, assuming I have a very good understanding of how I'm going to throw it, the amount of force applied, the direction in which that force is applied, and I have very good understanding of the dynamics of the resistance that's going to happen. For example, the drag or the air resistance or the friction that's happening as a result. If I have all of that answered and figured out, then I can predict perfectly and exactly where it's going to land, right? And that's why, for example, at NASA, when we're able to launch satellites to very far away planets, we're able to use things called gravity assists. Because in space, a force is just something that's either pulling or pushing or pulling on something. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use this example again to circle back to this idea of V equals IR, because again, this is something that really breaks my heart. So if we have like a very basic circuit with a resistor, and that's it, and let's say I have some voltage over here, let's say this is like 9 volts or 1 volt or whatnot, and then I have a resistor here, let's say like 5K ohms. Only when I have these two variables am I able to actually figure out how much current is going to flow. Why? Because if this resistor was tiny, this battery or this voltage source is going to pump out as much current as it possibly can before it gets drained. So I'm just going to go ahead and start throwing around a bunch of current. And then if this thing was really, really massively large, like, I don't know, millions of ohms or whatnot, then this guy, no matter how hard it works, it's not going to be able to push out that much current, simply because the system has so much resistance. So again, I'm going to redraw.
So I want to point something out to conceptualize this. And before I do that, I do want to answer this question, basically talking about Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel obviously knows what's going on with some of this technology. 100% he knows. He's connected to the CIA. And he thinks that AI is going to bring about one world government. Yeah, because if you have this kind of doomsday technology, you might need complete totalitarian control in order to mitigate that. 100%. I think that's very scary. Now, what he's saying here is that what I want you to think about is that when you plug a battery into any device, let's just take a light bulb, for example. When that battery runs out, what happens? Does the light just turn off? No, it doesn't. It dims. It dims and then it just goes out. Now, that's very interesting because you think about now this V equals IR or I equals V divided by R. And now you can begin to realize that what you're doing is you're draining that voltage. That voltage is being drained. You're having your dipole, your asymmetry is going away. It's neutralizing. And then it gets less and less and less. And then boof. And now your current has completely stopped. And so it really is kind of like he describes here, where it's like, then when you put that resistance there, you're putting something in your way that's stopping it, that's slowing it down. Which now, superconductivity. Why is superconductivity so important, chat? Because superconductivity has zero electrical resistance. Cooper pairs form, and we see quantum effects at the macroscopic visual scale. To me, superconductivity breaks this whole thing. You look at an electrical circuit, you go, okay, now it's a superconductive wire. Is the voltage ever going to drain? I would expect the voltage is never going to drain, because the current's just going to keep flowing. You have no resistance whatsoever. But I don't know. Maybe I'm probably misinterpreting something.
Draw this equation, which is not V equals IR. It's I equals V over R. I'm trying to solve for this effect. So then I look at the causes. And the cause is usually that there's some type of voltage that's being applied or electrical pressure. And this voltage is being slowed down or controlled by this resistance. Only when I know these two variables am I able to actually control for current. Or I'm actually able to solve for the current. So when you get a question on your homework, on your exam, that's like telling you to solve for a resistance, like it will tell you what the current is, like I equals something. I don't know, like let's say 3 milliamps, and then it's going to erase the resistance. I was going to ask you what the resistance is. It is very important that you understand conceptually that you are guessing what this resistance is, or you're trying to calculate it based on the current, because the resistance is already there, and the current is trying to, and the current only happens as a byproduct of the resistor there. It is not the current that's causing the resistance to be that much. Rather, you're just calculating how much resistance is. Now, again, for some people, this may be a very obvious thing, but for a lot of people, I simply find this idea to be new or surprising, or people don't think about it that way. And again, equations that are so simple that you're...
I just want to listen to that again. And real quick too, guys, like sometimes people ask me, like, I don't have connections to Alex Jones. Even if I had connections to some of these people, I'm not going to pass off people's stuff to them. It just doesn't feel appropriate. Like, you find your way to get in touch with those guys. Just a heads up, it's nothing personal, whatever. Same reason why I don't endorse people, things like that in general. If you are posting something on social media that's captivating, Alex Jones will find it. Okay, I want to listen to this one more time right now.
The resistance, I was going to ask you what the resistance is. It is very important that you understand conceptually that you are guessing what this resistance is, or you're trying to calculate it based on the current, because the resistance is already there, and the current is trying to, and the current only happens as a byproduct of the resistor there. It is not the current that's causing the resistance to be that much. Rather, you just...
Yeah, okay, so what he's getting at there is that the current is a byproduct of the resistance. So the more or less resistance, the more or less current you're going to get, which is why he wants you to reformulate the equations, which, yeah, I like that. If you're thinking about flow, yeah, the same way where you should be when you're thinking about acceleration. So I agree. I don't really like F equals ma as much as I like A equals F divided by m, or the same way where I like I equals V divided by R. Yeah, pretty interesting.
Calculating how much resistance be new or surprising, or people don't think about it that way. And again, equations that are so simple, such as something that's just like V equals IR or F equals M.
Okay, that's enough of this guy. Okay, bye, guy. You were cool. Done with you, though. Next video. Okay, let's get on to the energy from the vacuum here. Let's see how this is. If this sucks, then whatever, we might end early tonight. If it's dope, then we'll let it ride. So this is energy from the vacuum. This series is like 40 videos long and predominantly features Tom Bearden, who, again, he spent decades in the black projects, decades. Huge fan of Tesla, and the ether and Kaluza-Klein theory, scalar physics, all this stuff. The reason why one of the questions that I asked Dave Chester is, how can we wirelessly beam energy if it falls off by the inverse square law? Is because it promotes the idea of a longitudinal wave through the ether, just like Tesla said, just like Tom Bearden said. That's the basis of scalar physics. Two waves that are at the same phase, 180 degrees out of phase, meaning the exact opposite direction, a 0-point system, cancels out the electromagnetic waves. Is there nothing left? No, there's something left. We know that because Hal Puthoff's patent literally is for that. Also, again, this is also not personal to anybody, but people send me videos. Like, if you're sending me a video on your phone, just a spoiler, again, not personal. I'm not doing anything with any videos, people have lights in the sky or anything like that. No offense, but like, the reality is we need something that's much, much, much higher quality than that in order for anybody to take it seriously. And for me, I'm high maintenance, so I need like military footage, frankly. Like, I'm spoiled. We're all spoiled at this point. We've seen military drone footage and we've seen Sibber's footage and what have you, like random lights in the sky. You can never tell if it's a satellite, a bird, a bug, all these other things. You have to keep in mind debunkers are going to always debunk any of that. So, it requires, and this is not to diminish people's personal experiences or stuff they've seen, because there probably is stuff out there doing that, right? It's just that it has to be extremely high quality. In fact, we've even found now, even with two military videos from two completely different angles, in infrared and thermal, with a real world event of a plane that's missing 10 years later, even with all of that, people will still just dismiss it and invent some crazy story in their head that some mythical, non-existent hoaxer made it in a few hours, even though it's completely impossible and all the requirements are just too vast, you know? So, you know, no offense. I'm just, that's the story, guys. Okay, let's get going on this. But I do get a lot of people sending me videos like that. Now, if you see something that's like the video of the orbs shooting down the missiles and stuff like that, yeah, I'm interested in that. I already posted that back in April, but you know, stuff like that is interesting. If it's like reported on in the news, I'm open to it because I might post it if it's, you know, if I find it compelling. Okay, let's get going on this though. What does this say? I spoke to Randall Carlson at the Cosmic Summit, and I basically told him there's a weird letter online that says that like he knows stuff that he doesn't even know about. So there you go, chat. Now you know. Professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering at the University of Buffalo reported that she had observed apparent negative resistance in interfaces between layers of carbon fibers. Okay. Okay, chat. Here we go. Negative mass is equivalent to negative resistance. Interesting. Now, if we look at this from the idea of the ether, this energy, sea of energy, then I guess what we'd be saying is that we're pulling energy out of the ether. We're somehow manipulating the 0 point energy. That's what I would expect this is going to be explaining. Oh, I like this part. Several negative articles appeared quickly in popular scientific press. Conventional scientists were quickly quoted as proclaiming that negative resistance was against, let me guess, the laws of thermodynamics. How did I know, chat? Okay, now I'm super interested in this. So this is one of those things where I had to understand way more about physics and electrical engineering just to even get to this point. But how do we know this is real now? Because mass and energy are interchangeable. So even if we don't see this exotic negative mass, we still know that negative energy states are possible. And electrical engineering is all about energy. So this is really interesting. And yes, the way I think about energy is in terms of manifesting it. We're manifesting it. This is why I challenged David Chester on this, and I will challenge him again on Friday. Is that when I'm spinning it, I'm not converting kinetic energy into electrical energy. What I'm doing is we're changing a wire. We're changing the time of the wire. The wire goes from here to here. It doesn't matter if my hand does it. It doesn't matter if wind blows it. What's happening is that there is a movement, and movement is just a change in time of the wire in the alternating current, alternating current generator. So this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to answer too many more questions, but we'll do two more. I haven't ever spoke to Graham Hancock, and I have thought about the Iranian passengers, but how would we ever know? There's no way we can know. Yeah, exactly. So if mass is zero, if mass is negative, then what happens? It's obvious. If mass is negative, the force goes backwards. And again, this is where the math shows that we can have negative energy states. The math shows it. The math shows that. So this is where the laws of thermodynamics, this is the part where I do like to be a little bit condescending, which is that I can just literally say the physicists don't understand the laws of thermodynamics. And it's the reason why they don't understand it is because they think that we're in the bottom of an ocean. There's nothing below this state. We're at the lowest possible state. But we know that's not true. We know 100% that's not true. Because otherwise, helium-3 would freeze at absolute zero, and it doesn't. That's simple. That's absolute proof. Then the only question is, how deep is the ocean? How much energy is out there? That's the only question. And why does everybody quote the Casimir effect? Why does Richard Feynman and John Archibald Wheeler say that there's so much energy that you can boil all the Earth's oceans in just a tiny little space? Because if you take the Casimir effect and you go to the smallest scales, you realize the total energy gets really big. Really, 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 really big. And so we're not violating the first law of thermodynamics if we have a sea of energy. Because why? We're pulling the energy out, negative energy states. We're exchanging the negative energy, turning it into real energy, usable, that's observable at our scale. Second law of thermodynamics is not being violated either, just like it's not violated in a windmill. It's just a matter of where you draw your boundaries for your closed system. In any type of green energy, they are opening their system up to nature. Just like when we watched that example, the ball rolling down the hill, we're letting gravity do the work. Same way with a hydroelectric dam, you're letting gravity do the work. When it comes to 0-point energy, we can do the same thing, because what happens when we dip into this energy? It immediately equalizes again. So we pull the energy out, and then nature does the job of going back to equilibrium for us. This is the basic fundamental idea behind the Casimir cavities. Pull the energy out, goes back. You guys are getting PhD quantum physics right now, or quantum mechanics right now. Wait, what did it say? What did she say? Professor Chung is the leading material science in the USA, and her scientist reputation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is her story.
Yeah, okay.
No, we're not looking for your endorsement.
Yeah.
We just...
Okay, fine. Okay.
I'm ready, chat. My body is ready, chat.
I've been in the field of material science for 30 years. I was educated first at California Institute of Technology, where I first got introduced into the subject of material science. However, actually at that time, my major was more in electrical engineering. But through research, I got very much interested in material science because it is so rich in science at the same time as practical, and I like that combination. So after graduation from California Institute of Technology, I moved on to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, for my graduate work. And there, my focus was on material science. And in MIT, I got involved with carbon research for the first time. And that has been the focus of my research for the last 30 years. Carbon, referring to graphite, carbon fibers, carbon fiber composites, activated carbon, diamond, nanotubes, quite a large variety of materials. And a lot of applications involved. And
guys, I'm starting to get my spider senses going off, chat. You know what my spider sense? This video's from like the 90s or 2000s, and graphene. They're talking about graphene right now being able to induce superconductive states, and they show lattice structures. When I talk about lattice structures, I'm talking about the structures like what you're seeing in this image of right here. Like if you have a perfect crystalline structure, like a crystal is like a perfect lattice structure of elements, then you can, it's basically like making a freeway. You're making a freeway. And why is a freeway great? Because cars can go really fast and they don't have to worry about hitting anything. The same way where if we want to have current flow without resistance, what's the simplest way? Make a freeway. Same thing as when you're building your lattice structure, a perfect structure. And this is interesting. Negative resistor energy gain, positive resistor energy loss. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. So if your resistor does the opposite, so instead of slowing down, your negative resistor increases the energy gain. Holy shit, chat. It's coming to me. Oh, boy. The same way where if we reduce the mass below zero, we get increase in acceleration. Increase. Actually, what we learn from negative mass and energy is that the force doesn't necessarily go backwards. It's more of like you have to think about the blocks hitting one another. In fact, I kind of want to show that video real quick if I have it. Because it's so important to intuitively understand it. Yeah, here it is.
Let's see what happens in an inelastic collision where one of the blocks has a negative mass.
So look at that. When one block has negative mass and you have this collision happen, if it's a positive mass, the block slows down, just like the resistor. The resistor slows down. But with negative mass, the block speeds up when it hits it. Now think about that. If you run into the wall, you're going to slow down. If you run into a negative mass, you speed up. So with respect to a resistor, I'm going to mute this, but with respect to a resistor, same thing. What's going to happen to your current? With a positive resistor, your current is going to go down. With a negative resistor, your current goes up. This is free energy. And again, it's not free. We're just pulling it out of the ether. Holy shit, chat. My mind is going crazy right now. Wow. This is why like magnetic motors are cool, but I'm thinking like, holy shit, like we don't even need a magnetic motor. Like the magnetic motor itself isn't even the magic. Like we can change our back end engineering of our circuit with a negative resistor, and now you're going to get free energy. Like, look, and there's teleportation for you. Remember, divide by 0. What happens? Divide by 0. Teleportation. Wow. Okay. Let's let her go.
I have been working on a large variety of properties of these various materials. Not only the structural properties, but the functional properties, such as the electrical properties, how the electrical and the mechanical properties connect to one another, and also the properties related to electromagnetic fields and thermal applications.
Wait, Avi, someone's got to find, dude, Avi's interview with Sean Ryan's like 3.5 hours long, man. And apparently he talked about negative energy and like warp drives and stuff like that. I got to clip that for tomorrow. But yeah, I need to talk. I need to hear what Avi has to say about it. Avi, I think, is like crazy enough. I think I'm on Avi's level now. I can't believe I'm saying that I'm on the level of a Harvard astrophysicist, but I think that Sean Ryan would appreciate talking to me about some of this. Yeah, was the Truth Seekers Cambria or Coheed and Cambria, whatever his name is. Like these people are they're not all there, man.
And carbon fibers are most important from a practical point of view because of the carbon fiber polymer matrix composites. The polymer matrix primarily epoxy, and that's well, this is an example of the carbon fiber. It looks like hair, but it's just a very small fraction of the size of our hair, and it's all carbon, and it is very strong and stiff in this direction. But it's very light, and so it is very effective as a reinforcement. So one can embed these continuous fibers in a certain matrix, such as a polymer matrix, and after curing or letting the polymer solidify, one obtain a stiff composite like this. And this is what's widely used for aircraft structures because of their combination of lightweight, high strength, and high stiffness.
So they're taking like hairs and they're mixing it together and turning it into a polymer. So this is how they control the lattice structure. Weird. And this was what, 20 years ago? So you guys realize a lot of this, like people ask me why understanding the science doesn't take any technological capability, but you start to realize it's all about how far we can push our material science. Because now what are we doing? We're really just trying to manipulate the structures at the atomic level. And we can do that at the macro scale with certain techniques. But if you were a species that could just literally put the atoms together one by one, you're going to start to build metamaterials. That's what this is.
And compared to steel, for instance, it is much, much lighter. And so for fuel saving in particular, this is very much used for aircraft. And nowadays, they are getting to be used more and more for automobiles as well. Also for tennis rackets and fishing rods.
And yes, from the negative mass stuff, you can see how it could be relevant for tractor beam, right? Because you can now realize how you could pull something. You could shoot an electromagnetic wave at something and it's going to come back at you because you're using a negative energy laser.
And so the structural side has been the prime application. However, because of my background in electrical...
I love these graphics because they really help people understand. Whenever you hear lattice structure, you should be thinking what you see on the screen right here. What's the lattice structure? What's the freeway? What does the freeway look like?
Side. I have been looking at the electrical behavior of this material, something which is kind of not ordinary, because for structural material, people don't usually look at the electrical side. And by looking at the electrical side, I have been able to observe some very interesting phenomena. And in the electrical side, the behavior depends on the direction, because yes,
who just said that? The link is in the chat, guys. It's in the description. Who just said the Stanley Meyer thing? That's exactly what Stanley Meyer was doing. Stanley Meyer had it figured out 100%. And how do I know that? Because Tom Bearden explained it perfectly. Once you understand negative energy states, everything starts to make sense. That's why I said, guys, the video I showed at the beginning of the plane disappearing is the most important video ever. It explains all of physics. Once you realize that negative energy states are possible, you realize, how was Stanley Meyer's engine able to work? It was turning H2O, it was breaking the bonds and turning it into hydrogen and oxygen. Because if you take a negative energy state and apply it to water, what's going to happen? Your water is going to break down into hydrogen and oxygen. It literally reverts state. You have to think of it as like this hierarchy. So what's it going to do? It drops down one state. It goes from water back to the molecules. Just like, and then the molecules want to combine again. They want to combine again back into water. And this allows us to have relatively low energy transitions. This is where Jack Sarfati doesn't get it. I've tried to explain it to him. I probably will try again. He doesn't see negative energy. He thinks that we can achieve these low energy phase transitions. Yes, if we use negative energy. And this is how our craft is floating. How is our craft floating, guys? E equals mc squared. If you believe in conventional physics without negative energy, this is impossible. It's that simple. This is why I say, whenever you talk to these UFO community people, you just say, how is this UFO floating over the sky? How is this? I'll move my hand. How is this thing floating up here? Because the aliens, let's just jerk off the UFO community. The aliens, they understand negative energy.
You can see the fibers are oriented. Okay, it's directional. So if you make a composite, then if, let's say, the fibers are lined up in this way, then the properties of this composite would be very different in the different directions. Not only are they different between this direction and that direction, they are also very different in the vertical direction, because a laminate is really a stack of the fiber layers. Each fiber layer consists of thousands of fibers thick along the thickness of that fiber layer. And each fiber layer is called a ply or lamina. And you have all these plies stacked up, and then you consolidate them together under heat and pressure usually. Then one obtain a composite. And this is the vertical direction, what we call through thickness direction. And it is the electrical behavior of this through thickness direction which I have investigated a lot in. And that's the direction which has received very little prior attention, because that's the direction perpendicular to the fiber layers. And I found this direction's electrical behavior to be very interesting. And the reason why this direction is interesting is that the electrical conduction in this direction hinges on the degree of touching between the fibers of one ply and the fibers of the next door ply. Okay? And one can control the extent of that touching by the fabrication condition of this laminate. For instance, by the curing pressure, heat and pressure, I said. Okay, so that pressure, so-called curing pressure, which is the pressure applied during the curing or the making of the composite, can greatly affect the extent of fiber-fiber contact between the fibers of one ply and the fibers of the next door ply. And because of that,
I think Jeremy joined late. We're watching this negative resistor video, Energy from the Vacuum Part 3. And so now I didn't really understand exactly what she said there, but this is starting to remind me of Salvatore Paez's superconductor patent. So she said they're seeing this anomalous electrical current or force. I didn't quite get what she said. Based on the pressure they apply when they put these strands, like these little strands of these fibers on top of each other. When they build this lattice structure of this end product, this nanofiber mesh or whatever it is, they're seeing this anomalous effect, which I think the gist is they think it's producing a negative resistor.
Electrical conductivity in the through thickness direction can be much affected by the way this laminate is made. Okay, All right, so I have made a study of the
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's different. I don't know. There's probably different ways to pull it off. Truthfully, I'm learning right now. But yes, it's funny that Jeremy just joined and he already figured out the graphene. The graphene, like, because we're now in 2024, this whole idea of graphene using a superconductor has gone, like, it's getting a lot of scientific and media attention right now. I haven't even like looked into it that much, but I looked at a few papers that people sent me. And now I'm wondering if that's what she was figuring out here. I don't, does anyone remember what she said she was using?
electrical conduction behavior in this direction for different types of such laminate, these different types being different in the curing pressure. Okay, and so these different types are different in the extent of fiber-fiber contact across the layers. And I found different behavior, in systematic differences. That is how the conduction behavior correlates with the curing pressure. There is a very consistent correlation. So in order to study the electrical conduction behavior in the through thickness direction of the composite, that is in this direction, we take two plies, okay, and we made the ply so that we lay one on top of the other. So this is the top lamina or top ply. This is the bottom lamina or bottom lamina or bottom ply, 90 degrees, one over the other. Okay, and this is the junction, and we consolidate this junction, that is, make a composite, a two-ply composite out of this junction by applying heat and pressure, the pressure being the pressure in this direction perpendicular to the sheet.
This is really interesting. So they're really just applying it over the top of one another like this. This actually reminds me of that weird optical illusion with the polarized light, where like they take they take one polarized plate and then another one polarized the opposite way, and it blocks out the light where you can't see me. But then they put another one in the middle, and then all of a sudden you can see me again. And it's a quantum effect. So it's almost like it's this quantum effect that they're able to induce here from this. Guys in the chat, don't argue, don't fight with each other, chat. Quantum gravity seems to know what he's talking about. Higher pressure results in lower lattice vibrations and hence higher conductivity. Yeah, is that connected to piezoelectricity at all? Man, this has got me really thinking. Yeah, actually, that looks a lot like Pius's fusion patent as well. That's a good point. It does, like, the image looks a lot like it. Because Salvatore Pius's fusion patent also has this like counter rotating things going on as well. This is getting crazy, chat. I skipped over this video months back.
Paper. And now the reason why we want to make it in this configuration is that these fiber groups sticking out act as electrical leads. So in this way, we are able to get current passing through this junction and measure the voltage across that junction. You just simply using these as electrical leads. Okay, and there are 4 electrical leads, which turn out to be very useful because we can use 2 of the leads, A and C in this case, for passing current, and use the other 2 leads, namely B and D, for measuring voltage. Okay, the current thus goes along this top layer, along this leg, and then it goes down in the direction perpendicular to the sheet of paper, from the top layer to the bottom layer. And then it goes on along this leg of the bottom layer.
This lady's some Caltech PhD. She's some kind of super expert. So that's really interesting. So what did she just say there? She said basically current comes in this way and it hits the part where there's the weave pattern, and then it goes down a level, and then it goes down. So it goes into the weave towards you guys, and then it goes down and it comes out this way down at the bottom. That's really interesting. I'll go back to her name here in a second. Actually, I'll show it. What was her name again? Yeah, we need to know who this woman is. Chung. Deborah Chung. Professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering.
Okay, so that's the current path. Now, the carbon fibers are much, much more conductive than the polymer. In fact, the polymer can be considered to be electrically insulating. Okay, so the for this current path, the major resistance is the resistance across the junction. Okay, and then the voltage is measured across B and D, and an ideal voltmeter has no current going through it, and so we can just assume no current going through these two legs, and because of there being no current, then the potential at B is essentially the same as the potential at the top of the junction. And the potential at D is essentially the same as the potential at the bottom of the junction. Okay, so in this way, the voltage difference between B and D gives the voltage across the junction. And the voltage divided by the current gives the resistance. Okay, and this resistance reflects the contact resistance, which is the resistance across this interface.
I'm seeing where this is going, chat. I'm seeing where this is going. Remember, this is why I showed us before we did this. I showed you guys that other video about F equals MA is consistent with V equals IR. And then we can change the equations around A equals F divided by M, which is acceleration equals force divided by mass. And then we can also change around current equals voltage divided by resistance. So what is she about to get to here? They're about to do the math. And they're going to find out when they do this measurement of voltage and current, they're going to find out when they measure the resistance, it's negative. So how would we achieve a negative resistance? That would have to mean if I move the equations around. So V equals IR. Sorry, I have to do this real quick in my head here. That's just resistance equals voltage divided by current. So there's going to be... Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out. Let's just see. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I don't understand.
And this contact resistance multiplied by this junction's area, what's called the contact area, gives the contact resistivity, which is a geometry independent parameter that describes the nature of this interface.
I have a quick question. The common interface area, and I may have missed it. Is there pressure applied to this, or is there glue, epoxy? I mean, or is it just laid on each?
Yeah, just laid on. Now, the epoxy is already surrounding the fibers. Okay. That is, each lamina already has the resin, tacky resin. So you lay these two tacky strips one on top of the other, and then through hot pressing, they would the epoxy would cure and it would stick together. So actually, this is ordinary way of making these laminates.
So the pressure is applied during the curing process?
Only during curing, yes. After it's finished, the making process is finished, then the heat and pressure are removed. Okay. So we have here a sample, an actual sample of that thing. This is the bottom lamina, and this is the top lamina on top of it. And this is where they touch, and this is the junction.
Yeah, if you're just coming here from Candace's show, realize, like, I don't proclaim to be an expert. I'm certainly not a PhD in any of this stuff, but I love science. And I will say that I've seen the answers. We went over that. If you watch the very beginning of this video, we showed the most important, probably the most important video ever. Any physicist, if you accept what you see here to be real, then you must accept that negative energy states are possible. So how did I figure this out? Well, I worked backwards. I found out that negative energy states were possible because I'm staring at an endothermic event that's never been recorded. There's no such thing as an endothermic event according to mainstream physics. And there it is, of a plane that's still missing to this day, 10 years after these videos were recorded. So once you realize negative energy states are real, then the question you ask yourself is, how is that possible, and where's the science that supports it? And that's what we do on these live streams. Now, anytime I hear negative resistance, negative energy is an endothermic event, is neg entropy, and that's why this video is so interesting. Okay, let's bring it back.
And we are interested in the contact resistance of this junction. That is the resistance in the direction perpendicular to...
Yeah, this Deborah Chung lady is going to be like, she's got to be like 70 or 80 at this point. Like, she looks like she's at least 50 in this video. And this is probably at least 20 years old. This is the part 2, guys, where Like, this shit has been out there for a long ass time. It's been out there for a long time. So when people are like, Ashton, why do you think the orbs in the video are us? Because I'm like, these scientists have been writing about this in peer-reviewed published papers since the 80s, since I was a little kid. And we know the military is much more advanced than the public. We just heard General Flynn literally say that we've got technology that would blow your mind. General Flynn, former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency.
This piece of paper. And we pass current from here to here. So the current goes to here and then down the junction from the top to the bottom layer and then along this lake of the bottom layer. And while doing that, we measure the voltage between these two lakes. Okay. Now, this sample exhibits the conventional behavior. Namely, as you increase apply a positive current, and as you increase the current, the voltage is positive and becomes higher and higher. Okay, and this is the ordinary effect. In fact, the current and voltage are linearly related to one another, and it's positive slope. The current voltage relationship is positive in slope, and this is the classical positive resistance situation. And this applies for the case of the curing pressure being rather small.
I know this. I was right. This is where this is going, chat. This is where this is going. They're going to increase the current. So remember, so this is why the guy told us we have to think about it in terms of I equals V divided by R. That's how we need to think about it. So if we increase the current, we would expect the voltage to also increase. It's going to basically, I think what's going to happen here is it's going to do the opposite. It's going to show that the resistivity is decreasing. If the resistivity is decreasing, then we've created a negative resistor, right? Is that how this is going to play out? Did I get it?
So that the extent of touching across the layers is not very high.
When you talk of the curing pressure being comparatively small, what orders of magnitude, what range are you talking about?
Yes, the curing pressure, this is from my paper.
Yeah.
So this is curing pressure in megapascal. And 0.13 megapascal is considered a low curing pressure. 1.4 megapascal is considered a high curing pressure. So even high is actually not a very high pressure. 1 megapascal
okay, I don't care about curing pressure.
145 psi. So it's not very high pressure. But just on a relative scale. It's all automated, so it's going to come up. Now he's going to crank up the current, and the voltage, it's all automatically current voltage automatically collected, and it's going to be displayed. So let's put the display up on the computer.
Oh shit, chat! Here we go. I already know what's going to happen.
Just wait. Now he's cranking up. So the top curve is the current. The bottom curve is the voltage, and he's cranking up the two. It's just manual cranking, so it's not very smooth. Nevertheless, one can plot the current versus voltage, and you see it's linear, positive slope.
Is it completely standard?
Yes. Yeah.
Generic current voltage relationship?
Yes. All right.
And this is with material that has been cured at what?
So what's the thing going to happen here? So basically she said increase the current, the voltage increases. That's what we'd expect, right? I mean, that's what the equations say. I equals V divided by R. The only way that increasing the current could cause a voltage to decrease is if R is negative, right?
Pressure.
The relatively low pressure, which is around this 0.13 megapascal area.
Okay, so this is generic carbon composite cured material.
Well, all these are generic, just that I vary the curing pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So now we proceed to the.
Oh shit! I see it already coming. I
another
the head there
sample,
was.
but made with a relatively high curing pressure.
We're changing samples now.
Now, yes, we are changing sample.
We're changing samples out.
Okay, so this is as the second sample, one which was made using the relatively high curing pressure. And we do exactly the same experiment, passing the current like this and measuring the voltage across these two legs. So let's do that now. All right. So he's cranking up the current manually again. And the top curve is the current, the bottom curve is the voltage. And you can
Let's
see that
go, chat. Let's go.
Goes down. It goes negative. And so now you plot the current versus voltage. It is
I
a straight line
love
of negative
science,
slope.
chat. I love science.
And this is what we call apparent negative resistance. Okay, now first of all, I'd like to explain that I don't think that this is true negative resistance. That's why I call it apparent negative resistance. And I believe that this phenomenon has to do with the electron flow having a backflow. That is, you have current or electrons going from one layer to the next layer. Okay, and then there is a tendency for the electrons to flow backward, okay, from the one layer back to the first layer, and this backflow is driven by entropy, okay, just like diffusion is driven by entropy,
Backflow is driven by entropy. Why is entropy important, chat? Negative energy, negative entropy, reduction in complexity. Again, it's all about understanding that negative energy states are possible. Wow. And what happened? Just for the people that weren't here at the beginning of this video, there was this thing that came across the screen. And they said that when this experiment dropped in the 90s, immediately every debunker came out and said, this can't be possible because it violates the laws of thermodynamics. Did they actually go look at the experiment? Did they look with what they saw with their eyes, what we just saw with the negative slope? No. They didn't even think about it. They just said it can't be possible. This is the problem with science and academia in general. And we saw this many times before. People will literally claim stuff's impossible without even looking at it. It's the same problem we have with the MH370 videos. We just say, look at what you see with your eyes. Even Candace Owens said, people don't believe what they see with their eyes. They just believe what they were taught to think. And yet, we can't answer basic questions about physics, very basic questions about the nature of our reality, where energy comes from, what dark energy is, the nature of gravity, mass. We can't answer any of this stuff, and yet people will still be so confident that they're correct and ignore what they see with their eyes and just go to what they were taught. Heck, they'll even admit that the equations and the math claim that negative energy states are possible, but still just say it's not. It's crazy. We live in a crazy clown world.
Because of this entropy-driven backflow, you have this backward current. And under certain situations, this backflow can...
I just got to say it again. She's literally saying that we've got negative entropy going on right here. That's what she's saying. Like, current flows one direction, and she's saying we've got the current flowing backwards. That's what she's saying right here. The current is flowing backwards. Holy shit. This is fucking awesome.
And appear to dominate. When that happens, you have the apparent negative resistance. Okay, so I call it apparent because I believe that it's entropy driven. Okay,
she's calling it apparent because she knows she's getting attacked by people trying to discredit her. Anybody that comes out that tries to explain that negative energy is possible with any type of experimental proof, I mean, to me, that's experimental proof of negative energy. That's experimental proof. This is why they attacked her. Because the moment you find out negative energy is possible, everything is coming out. Free energy is coming out, warp drives, wormholes, all of it. All based on negative energy. If negative energy is possible, we can break the system. We can break our magic card deck. We can just pull energy out. Poof. For nothing.
True negative resistance, which I'm not claiming, would have been driven by energy rather than driven by entropy. Okay? That is, if it were true negative resistance, a negative charge would go toward not the positive end of a voltage gradient, but a negative end. That would be true negative resistance, and that's.
So this is the part where negative energy is a misnomer. This is the rub right here. Negative energy is not an exotic substance. It's normal energy. Negative energy is normal energy. It's just negative entropy. That's the rub. That's what. So she is saying the exact same thing. And it is actually negative energy. Negative energy states are still just normal energy. So if you're pulling negative energy out of the Dirac holes, out of the Dirac sea, that is still just positive energy when you pull it out. It's just a negative entropy state. That's why the MH370 video is so important. You're seeing the negative entropy, negative energy state of that black, dark, cold endothermic event. It just feels very important right now for me to say that I would never harm myself. And if anything were ever happen to me, it should be considered suspicious, even if it looks like an accident. I would never harm myself. And fuck you, Ron Pandolfi.
It's driven by energy. Okay? But in this case, it's not driven by energy. I believe it's driven by entropy. Okay? And that entropy causes the tendency for backflow. And that backflow, in turn, results in the apparent negative resistance.
What led you to look at this particular set of parameters with these materials? What inspired you to look at the voltage and current characteristics? Or is this something that's particular to your field of work? As you had said, you focus on the electrical characteristics of the composites.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm interested in the electrical side of a structural material, seemingly an odd thing.
This is crazy. I think we saw enough there. We probably can skip ahead because, and yeah, if they orb me, they're going to fucking orb me to Diego Garcia and put me in one of those goddamn prisons underground like they did Philip Wood, or what they did with all those migrants that washed ashore and they just kept them in prison for like 3 years. Jesus, man. These people are monsters. Okay, let's see what we got here. I think we can skip ahead of this. Now she's just trying to rationalize it so that they won't kill her and stuff like that, which, yeah, it's smart. Because this is the part where it's like these physicists, too, they're like, shit, I just discovered magic. And then they're like, I got to be careful what I call this because, like, people are going to attack me. They're going to discredit me. And for people like this with tenure and stuff, like this can ruin their careers. This is why when David Greer, Professor David Greer from NYU, when I emailed him, like he like repeatedly would say, this is not violate this. We're not using any exotic substance to pull this off, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, chill, bro, chill. I know you aren't, right? Because they're so afraid that like I would take their email and then like post it online and go, Dr. David Greer thinks, Professor David Greer thinks that, we can break the laws of thermodynamics. Like he doesn't want that to happen to him.
Intriguing part of it scientifically.
It's 1998. In response to a query from U.S. major companies, UP Acting Director of Technology and Technical Service issued the following statement. We appreciate the public interest that has been shown in Dr. Deborah Chung's disclosure of a negative resistance effect in a carbon composite material. At this time, Dr. Chung and other university faculty are continuing investigations to further explore her initial results. Consequently, at present, the invention will not be available for commercial development. Holy shit. Guys, okay, you guys want to understand how suppression works? I told you, it's all about commercialization. You can discover it. You can show it on videos. It won't matter to these people, and they can just shut you down. They can shut you down from the commercialization perspective, and again, what happens is people always say, just show it to me. Why, if you invented this, you should be a trillionaire. Why is Deborah Chung not a trillionaire, guys? Shouldn't she be a trillionaire? She just showed that we can achieve negative entropy states. We just saw it with our own eyes. Why is she not a trillionaire, chat? If this was real, she would be a trillionaire by now. Because that's how easy it is. Heck, you can just apply psychological pressure, and then people will not commercialize it. Yeah, her award is that she's alive still. And she did this with $1,000. That's not even what she did. Is like you might be able to recreate that.
You have patented this. This has been patented, isn't it?
No, this has not been patented.
Not patented. Not patented, chat. Well, let's find out if this is patented, chat. We might have something to go with our Casimir cavity patent that's going to expire in a couple of years. Ooh, Deborah Chung, we going to steal your negative resistor. We going to steal your negative resistor, Deborah Chung. And we going to steal Bernard Haitian, Garrett Modal's Casimir cavities too. Hold on, let me do the thing. Gonna steal your patents. Gonna steal your science.
Might I ask why? Normally one expects everything to be patented. So
Yeah. Well, the patenting procedure is something that that relates to the university filing patents. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Okay. And the patenting was not pursued.
all right.
Mhm.
And this is the
Basically, the university was like, nah, we're good. They're like, nah, we don't need to patent this. Let's just, we don't need to commercialize this. This is, let this go. Let this go. Now, we like living on this planet. We're good. They've heard of the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951. No thanks. We'll pass.
originally in I think 1998 was it in at a symposium in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the process that you were talking about at that point in time.
Yes.
And I guess you're saying essentially this is in the public domain now?
Yes.
So, okay. So there's no question that I mean, if one wanted to pursue this, say with additional research, you wouldn't have to get the university's permission to use it, or I mean, there's not by patent.
Right.
How old that computer
that's
is.
right. Yeah.
I'm just trying to recall. There was the university at one point in time I think was going to license it, or I'm on the wrong track here.
Well, the university at one point was considering getting patent protection, but it was eventually dropped. Yeah.
Do you have any? Is there any extended further? Is this an
My guy's going to end up getting somebody killed here. My guy in the chat here, BC, he's going to end up getting somebody killed.
isolated phenomenological discovery, or is there something you have ideas about extending this into other applications, other areas of investigation? Now that you know that pressure variances affect the apparent negative resistance, do you have any ideas about taking that another step into other areas or other uses or methods of applying this situation?
One can extend the
Yeah, we had a Pentium with 133 megahertz with 8 megabytes of RAM solving free energy out here, chat. This is the part where it's crazy. Like, this is where I say it doesn't require any technical advancement to understand the ether, understand negative energy, the Dirac holes, the Dirac C. Tesla figured this out over 100 years ago. He figured it out before electrical engineering was even a thing. Electrical engineering was not even a thing when Tesla figured out alternating current and basically free energy and longitudinal waves. Yeah, I would say maybe Jeremy or somebody else reach out to her and don't get her killed, guys. But if we can figure out more details about how we did this, maybe there's even more advanced ways to do it. Now I want to figure out, like, are there other papers out there that took her work and took it to the next level? This seems like something we can make.
this experimentation to composites with matrices other than polymers. And I've done some work with cement as the matrix. And a similar behavior exists there.
By the way, when you say cement, you mean glue, as we would call it.
No. Cement like concrete.
Oh, really? Real? Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, very interesting.
Wait, she's making free energy concrete? What did she just say? She's making free energy concrete or some shit? Negative resistor concrete? What is this lady doing? Smart concrete? Okay, well, that's going to be a little side project. I want to know more about that. Guys, this extracting energy from the vacuum series here, energy from the vacuum, this series is just incredible. I didn't know this video was going to be this amazing. I remember glossing over this, thinking it was going to be boring. Holy crap. Now that I understand a little bit more about electrical engineering, wow.
I think one simplest application is just to use this as an electrical device. I mean, an electrical device that exhibits this particular current voltage characteristic.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is what it is. And just use it as an electrical device. We can tailor it, and so you have a series of electrical devices.
Have you had inquiries in that regard? People interested in replicating it for application as an electrical device? Have people inquired to you about that at all?
Not a whole lot. Yeah.
Really?
Thank you very much.
That's crazy, chat. She's like, have you had people ask about replicating it? And they're like, not really. Wow. That goes to show how brainwashed people are. They show you a video and you literally can see the negative slope. And people are like, nope, I was told that thermodynamics make this not possible. I'm going to ignore it. This is just like literally Westworld shit. This is Westworld, man. We fucking live in Westworld. It doesn't look like anything to me. I just saw a negative energy slope on the fucking computer. Doesn't look like anything to me. Like, oh, I'm showing you an endothermic event of a plane disappearing out of space-time. It just looks like VFX to me. Who do they think made this? They think some PhD that understands negative energy made this video? Come on, man. These people. Of course it's real. And when you see the level of suppression, the bare minimum that Lockheed, like, you don't think Lockheed Martin took this technology? Lockheed Martin stole this technology. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, all these other defense companies, they stole this technology. You kidding me? They didn't even patent it. Of course they stole the technology. All the aerospace companies stole this technology. And it's like, you don't think those companies are trying to hide their trade secrets? Of course they're hiding it. You don't think that they would put a VFX on the internet to try to convince people that a video is fake? Or use their hackers to hack some cloud pictures onto the internet so that people would think this real videos are fake? Of course, that's the bare minimum they would do. Bare minimum. I expected more. I expected them to teleport an airplane to the bottom of the ocean and be like, see, the plane is there the whole time. It was there the whole time. Or to just fucking kill me. I actually expected that.
Okay.
Very good. Very well done.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
You look good too. You look nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, here comes Tom Beard.
Chung's work.
Yes, the negative resistor that she built is absolutely for real. Now, as far as I can see, somebody's put a clamp on that because they filed the patent and everything like that went fine.
Come on, this is why I'm not listening to people badmouth Tom Bearden. If you badmouth Tom Bearden, I'm taking it personal. He gets it. Somebody put a clamp on it. That's exactly what happened. The university is just like, we're not going to follow up on this. No, thank you. This was like 30 years ago. Tom Bearden's fucking awesome.
But all of a sudden, you notice a great silence, which means somebody is using it for some kind of a classified project. That's what it means.
See? I see. That's what I just said. Lockheed Martin and them just are stealing this shit, and they're just using it on classified projects. So, guys, when I say people have free energy devices, I'm not fucking around. The elite people have it. If you're connected to the engineers that work in the black projects or work for Lockheed and these people on these black projects, they have this shit. It goes well beyond just a magnetic motor, too. If they got this kind of shit, they've probably got crazy stuff they can build that has coefficient of performance like maybe up to like 100. Who knows? Maybe even more. I mean, the stars the limits.
In my view, having been there in aerospace and know how they work, the work was being funded, as I understand, probably by agencies that would, in fact, do that.
Negative resistance. You saw it right there, chat. Is that it? The anomalous effect has been replicated by several independent researchers. There we go. This anomalous effect has been replicated by several independent researchers as in clearly fertile ground for additional experimentation. So it had already been replicated and proven. Now, let's do this here. I'm going to fast forward this. If negative energy is factored into the analysis of the Chung resistor phenomenon, the apparent anomaly may well become less of a mystery. See? God, this video is great, chat. This live stream ended up being awesome. Tip of the iceberg, yeah. And for you people who are thinking weather manipulation, yeah, of fucking course weather manipulation is possible. Of course. We can produce negative energy and just basically unlimited energy. The question is, can you control the weather? And that's where I dial it back a little bit, chat. Dial it back. Can we manipulate the weather? Of course we can. Can we control it? Maybe. Bearden was taking major risks revealing this stuff. Negative energy is supposed to be limited, of course, it binds and fused together with atoms. Negative energy is not a new concept. Now, that's also mentioned in when I did the write-up of the history of zero-point energy. I mentioned that the electron flowing around the nucleus, it should radiate energy out, lose energy, and crash into the nucleus. Why does it not do that? Presumably because it's pulling energy from the quantum vacuum all the time. Negative energy. Dirac field theory. When electrons are displaced from the Dirac sea to flow as current, the holes from which they were dislodged can also flow as current of negative energy, which works exactly backwards to conventional current. Boom, chat. Boom. Guys, I'm getting good. I'm getting good. I literally called this without even reading this. I was literally just saying this earlier in the stream while we were watching it. So if you want to understand this, the ether, the energy that's out there, the 0 point energy is what we call it nowadays, the quantum fluctuations that are bubbling up from the ocean all the time. Dirac hole theory. The idea was that you take your bucket and you pull the energy out and you leave a hole behind. And this causes a negative energy state. Why is that important? That's what's happening with the plane. We're seeing that negative energy state. You're seeing them pull that energy out, create that massive negative energy, that hole. That's a wormhole. That's a wormhole. If you pull enough energy out of your ether where you create a singularity, you're creating a wormhole. That's why wormholes require negative energy conventionally to be able to pull off. You can also look up a guy named Dan Solomon. Dan Solomon, he did the math. He showed that negative energy states and the Dirac hole theory is 100% legit. Somebody committed suicide in the APEC conference? Jesus. This is crazy. Okay, scientific literature also shows that the application of an electric field can extract energy from the Dirac hole vacuum state. There it is. I just said this guy's name just 5 seconds ago. See Dr. Dan Solomon, his article in Physics Scriptia from 2006. There it is. There it is. Guys, we're getting good. We're getting good at this. I'm scaring myself with how much I've learned from this. Honestly, I'm scaring myself. Told you, Dan Solomon, read his papers. He's got like 3 papers. That's referencing one of them. He's got like 3 or 4. And he basically shows that, yes, the Dirac hole theory matches up. All this physics matches up. Hal Puthoff knows. Hal Puthoff knows, chat. Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, these guys know. That's why they don't do interviews, because when people start asking them questions, they don't want to have to lie. They don't have to lie. They know. There's engineers in these black projects. They've seen it with their eyes. Seen it with their eyes. God, the UFO community is so fucking bullshit. Oh, goddamn. People just spreading bullshit narratives about aliens, man. Instead, we have free energy. And I'm not saying aliens can't be real. You know what? You know what? Aliens are real. You know what, chat? You know what, chat? Aliens are real, chat. There you go. Are you happy? Have we solved the problem? Can we move on after aliens, or do we have to keep doing aliens some more? Aliens are real, chat, for the UFO community. Okay, there, it's done. Now we can get over it. Going to work tomorrow. Now can we go to negative energy and unlimited energy and, change the world? Oh, yeah. Awesome. Oh, I love that. You're like, do you have any evidence or anything? Nope. Doesn't matter. I love that. More negative energy stuff. Okay, I think that's probably good enough, right? Let's see what else it says. Is that a circuit? Oh, Dr. Chung, 2008. So this video must have been made after 2008. The Dalai Lama was the feature. Yeah, if we can talk to Dr. Chung, I would love to talk to her. I want to know what her thoughts are in general. Oh, this is her just... Oh, she plays the piano too? Look at that. She's a fucking badass, chat. Oh, wait, hold on. Chat, she's a fucking badass. Watch this. pianist, guys. ZPE pianist, guys. One and only. Okay, that was a great stream, guys. Guys, the Hodge Twins podcast is gonna be really good. I'm pretty sure I name dropped Dan Solomon in the Hodge Twins podcast as well. So, like, the Hodge Twins podcast is basically me riffing on negative energy in the ether for like an hour and a half. And like explaining that we can produce wormholes and warp drives and free energy is possible, all based on the ether and 0-point energy. And I definitely referenced Terrence Howard as well. Like, it's going to be good. I hope I trigger, but what you're going to see is like when Terrence Howard goes on Joe Rogan, they all attack him because he says 1 × 1 = 2 and shit that they can easily attack him on. You're going to see they're not going to be able to attack me. When they can't debunk you, then they go completely silent. They go completely silent. I think I said stuff about the reason why I say electric universe is just to trigger them, honestly. It's just to trigger them. It's not even about what you call it. It's just about how this stuff works. I just like to say the things that are going to trigger those people because I want to get them talking about it. I want to get them talking about it because that's how we wake people up. That's how we wake people up, chat. Okay. The link is in the description for that video if you guys want to watch it. Yeah, the Mark McCann dish, I watched part of the thing because he talks about 0-point energy as well. And he knew about 0-point energy. I'm not sure about all the AARVs or whatever it's called, the alien reproduction vehicles or whatever. Maybe, maybe not. Again, aliens are real, sure, whatever. I don't give a shit. But yeah, we've got some stuff. And the big kicker too is that clearly we found out that with balls of plasma, yeah, you get the silent treatment. When you are saying the real stuff, you just get the silent treatment. They don't want to talk to you if you're telling them the truth. Yeah, I should have said moist a few more times. But clearly we found out balls of plasma are causing this effect even without the material science. It's more of the topological physics, which if you look up topological physics, you find out it's about Bose-Einstein condensates and condensed matter physics. And that's what they're hiding, is that somebody figured out that we can do it with plasma. We don't need wires or any of the other shit. And now we've got this ball of plasma that just self-organizes. And now we've got our little Jarvis here, little Jarvis that just floats around, just gives us free energy, can just teleport objects away, shit like that. So now we've got our little Jarvis, and maybe it's even sentient. Who knows? Jarvis, teleport that plane away, Jarvis. What a world, chat. I can't believe this shit's real, chat. I mean, it is, but I mean, like, god damn. What a world we live in. What a world. S. Beers, Sentinel of the Night. One of them is called MH370 Cypher. MH370 Cypher. I don't know which. We'll listen to that one tonight, chat. We'll switch it up a little bit, even though I love the negative energy one. I just have them both called MH370 Cypher, so that's a problem. That's a problem. One of them I call the Pepe Cypher. So remember that guy, Pepe Zolan? He makes the best videos. He made the one about Jack Sarfati. He also made this one that we're going to play with the S. Beer Sentinel of the Night. So you can rip it off his Twitter channel if you want. Guy's amazing. I honestly want to hire him to make videos for me. Dude's just amazing, chat. Okay, I'm going to sleep, guys. I appreciate you. I got to go to work tomorrow. Man, it's so hard to go back to normie jobs, chat. Thanks, Crypto. Hey, Jeremy. I'll see you guys on Friday. Can't wait to talk about it some more. Good night, MH370X. I love you guys. Have a good night. Peace, brothers and ladies.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, Sentinel of the Night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence post. Shields unseen, yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. And he rolls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests far and wide. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star.
For Orbs Forever!